Hi, I'm Christina.
And I'm Matt.
And this is New Ways Podcast. Today, our topic of conversation is travel. And Matt's laughing at me. We're going to talk about, the mental aspect of traveling, the wellness that it can bring to your life, and honestly, our experience, because it's been such a blessing in my life and has brought so much wellness overall for me. So,
well, and I think the biggest thing too is that when you and I were talking about what topics were we going to discuss this week, I know that you had, just gotten back from Bali. I know that we were also planning a bunch of trips this, going into the summer,
we're always
into the
trying
fall,
to plan our
and
trips.
we have Coachella coming up, and I just think I was like, man, I would love to do a segment strictly on just like how mental health has benefited or how travel has benefited our mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where we are today. And so we want to sort of discuss our own experiences in regards to travel and how it's affected us, but also, really being able to sit down and discuss how travel can also help people expand what they've already done.
Yeah, completely.
So let's get into it.
So Matt, tell me then, how has travel influenced your life?
It hasn't. No,
No, not at all. Matt doesn't go anywhere besides work and home and then binge watching TV.
This is true. No, I work out too in there.
Do you?
No, I try.
Don't lie to the people.
I know. No, it's okay. I will say my biggest thing is that,
he's kidding, guys. He travels sometimes.
I do. I started becoming a fan this year, and I haven't done it yet, but I started taking after you and doing the solo travels.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something really big that I've wanted to do this year is just take a weekend for myself and just go. I have amazing family, amazing boyfriend. I got a good, stable system. But that being said, there's something about being able to take time for yourself and just removing yourself from society a little bit and just finding yourself either in nature or at your favorite city, new friends, new nightlife, whatever it may be. I just think that has really big importance. So I know that you have done a lot of personal traveling.
I have.
And a lot of independent traveling.
I have.
And I'm someone who's kind of scared of independent travel.
Was literally going to be my question for you. I'm like, if you didn't know me and somebody told you go take a trip by yourself, what would be in the back of your head?
Well, it's funny because my therapist and I were the ones that were talking about it because I was looking for ways to just sort of escape for a weekend. Because I always, I can escape for a couple hours, but there's something about being able to like physically remove yourself from a space for, a few days. And so that's where that conversation came about. It was just really interesting because you and I had so many conversations about it previously, way before I ever talked about it with my own therapist. So hence why I was like, oh, okay, well, if anyone's done the, independent travel stuff, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately came to you. I was like, yo, what do you think about this? How should I go about it? Where should I go? And what do I do? So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I even mentioned it to you before your therapist did was because my biggest life lessons come from my own personal life experiences. And in my mind too, and I'm like, yes, I get we're all different people, but I think we can all relate on certain types of like emotions that we all feel. And I feel like oftentimes a lot of people feel suffocated or even where they're at. And it's just been such a big part of me finding myself as well as finding room to breathe. That's why, I love you to death. And when I see you sometimes with your busy schedule and you're really good at handling it, but you, like everybody else, get stressed out sometimes. I'm like, dude, take a breath, go away, do some you time, reconnect with yourself. But yeah, so honestly, when I first started to solo travel by myself, I'm not going to lie, I was scared shitless. I was overthinking everything. I planned everything out to a T. Now I don't plan anything.
Why'd you do it?
Because I realized I wanted to, there were multiple reasons. One of the reasons was I wanted to go explore the world. It's been something ever since my father took me to Europe at a young age. It's just, I always love experiencing new things. And I realized if I was going to wait for other people to go on these trips I want to go on, I'm going to be waiting a very long time, if ever I go. You can't wait for other people to do things because you're going to be waiting a long time. So one time I just bit the bullet and I'm like, I'm going to go by myself, especially at that time too. When choosing a destination, besides the fact I wanted to get away because I love traveling, I was also in a very kind of lost place. So I'm like, let me kind of include my vacationing that I like to do along with wellness in a place that's going to like enrich my soul and get me more connected with myself, hopefully. Because like my first solo trip ever was Bali. Oddly enough, I just got back this year again. But to me, yeah, I just decided one day, I'm like, I'm so sick of waiting for other people to do things. I'm going to create opportunities for myself. And it was scary getting on that plane, knowing I'm going to be in a foreign country, like a 21-hour flight away was scary, but I did it anyways. And it's been so beneficial. And that's one of the things I also want to say about traveling too, is to me, it boosts your confidence. Because I get where even right now you might be sitting here thinking, I'm mad. I'm already super confident. But you get a new type of confidence when you realize that like, I can actually be by myself and do these things. You know what I mean?
I would say that being independent is a huge form of self-care.
I think it is, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't talk about that enough. Like the fact that if you can go sit, there's something very freeing about sitting by yourself at a dinner and just like in a massive restaurant and being totally unbothered.
Have you done that before?
I have.
Okay.
Actually, I've really liked it. But I really like, I know we talked about like, what do you do? You know, that simple self-care. For me, it's definitely that, or like going to the movies.
Was that scary for you the first time you did it?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like it was interesting because I started doing that when I was like 18. Like it was like when I had
really,
a car. Yeah, I just would take myself to the movies on the weekend.
Even in like, were you in your hometown at this time at 18? So you just decided to go eat by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I would just go eat by myself or just go do something completely on my own and just sit there, but like never like travel out of the country. So I always felt like I needed to like have someone there with me to do things.
But why do you think that?
I mean, it was just like you said before, it was more of a fear factor than anything else. Cause it's like when you're by yourself and something goes wrong, you don't have anyone to like rely on to like help you if something, you know.
But why? Like, that's the
happens.
thing. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, things can go wrong when you're with people.
Yeah. But at least like if that happens, you at least have someone to like share that connection with or like figure out how to make a solution.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, okay, well now I had this happen to me where I actually was traveling to meet a friend when I was in Paris. Ooh. And I had to I spent the first night in Paris by myself. So I guess that's my independent travel. And I got lost on the train because everything was in French and all the French people refused to speak English to me.
Yeah.
And
really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just Parisian.
That doesn't come as a surprise to me. I've never been, but I've heard that they're very big on like, you're here, you stick with our culture, I guess, our language.
I mean, and that's fine. It's just like the fact that I remember getting very, very lost and end up like almost in tears. I mean, I'll never forget having to go to a police officer and just being like absolutely terrified. So, I mean, the biggest things is like I went in, had to talk to a police officer, and then they were like trying to point me in the right direction, but it still was lost. And then the dude ended up like writing on a piece of paper in English with like direct like directions. And that was when you're in a city, you know, you aren't supposed to be, or like, you really don't belong there. Obviously you're a tourist. There's something like really wholesome and magical and like really incredible about someone just being able to like sit down for a moment and just be like, yo, this is how you do this. And just having that like kindness to really like put you like almost grounded in a way. Cause I was just like freaking out in my mind. Cause I was like, I have no idea where I am. I am like 20 years old. I can't even, you know, I can barely, you know, I can function, but like this was a new experience. And so having that sort of kindness and stuff, that was one of the biggest things that stuck with me. And so I have really taken that into into effect, because now here, you know, living in LA, there's lots of tourists, there's lots of people everywhere. And I think I've like walked down Hollywood, people are like, hey, I'm not from here. I don't know where to go. Like, do you know where this is? And I'm like, absolutely. It's just down here to the left. Or, you know, I even pull out Open Maps, you know, or Google Maps or whatever, and just help them. And I don't know, there's something really wholesome about that, because I feel like a lot of people aren't used to that, but then in return really sort of, you know, I don't know. I feel like that was like a really big lesson for me. Yeah. Learning lesson. So, yeah.
So there's two things in your story that I would really love to point out that are just like gems, and why I encourage people to travel so much is, one, you had the confidence, let alone it was kind of forced confidence because you did need the help. But a lot of people are deadly afraid to walk up to a random stranger and ask for help.
Yeah.
And you had the confidence to go and do that. It's different when you are forced to do it, but like the fact that you're forced to do it and you just did it means that you can do it again. And a lot of times that will stick with you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So right there, travel is encouraging you to step out of your comfort zone in more ways than just going to another country. And in that essence, when you said also like a country I don't belong in necessarily, I do get it's scary when you go to a place and it's just like not your typical like place you fit in necessarily. But what I think is so beautiful is the more you travel and experience the world and to go to different places, the more you realize, hey, I can actually fit in all these different areas. Like I tell people all the time as kind of a joke, but I'm like, LA is my home, but the world is my home. Like I want to be able to like travel all different places, potentially have houses in all different places at some point in my life, because I think it's so beautiful. And it shows that like, yes, the world is big, but it's actually kind of small because like a lot of things, regardless if you speak the same language or have the same skin color, like are universal, like the kindness of strangers, it's out there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think traveling allows you to connect with people and realize that just because we're different doesn't mean we're not the same. Yeah. And the world, you can go all these different places and feel at home, even when you're not in your own home. And I think that's something that's so beautiful and expansive. Mm-hmm. So those were all things that I've realized from your story. Absolutely. And that's what I encourage, especially too, like, I think what's really good for creative thinking, as well as like, once again, confidence in yourself and just enriching your life a little bit more is culture, right? Like, for sure. To me, I don't just, you know, how I kind of travel. Unless it's someplace I've been before, I try not to go only for a short period of time. I like to go there for ideally a month, honestly, because travel should be a vacation. It should be a time of like rest, stepping back and reflecting. And that does take time. Mm-hmm. But also I do believe, once again, there's hidden gems in everywhere you go. And if you want something new in your life, you have to go find something new. You can't just stay in your like hometown and only experience the same thing every single day and expect something to change or something to be different. Mm-hmm. So when you actually allow yourself the time and the space to experience different things in different cultures, you would be surprised how much you learn and how much you connect with yourself. Yeah. Is there any type of experience you've had from a different culture experience, or just like putting yourself out there in a different type of environment that's enriched your life?
Jeez. Okay. So one place that enriched my life was the place I would have least expected it.
Okay.
And I was actually in the Netherlands with my dad. He took me to the Netherlands on a company trip that he was doing his work on. And he was like, hey, you just want to come along? I'm like, oh, sure, why not? I was 16, 17. And funny enough, when we were there, I had the coolest experience. We were actually at this restaurant. And for the people who don't know, the Netherlands, they have Amsterdam, which is a big city. Mm-hmm. But then it's just all country. Like it's all country land. And outside of Amsterdam, and granted they have, Groningen, and they have different, the different cities and minor cities, but a lot of it is farmland. And so we ended up actually in this super small town. And honestly, I couldn't even remember the name of the town. It was probably no more than 2,000 or 3,000 people. And we're just driving through the streets and we stop along and we go to this little cafe and we're sitting down, and I hate spinach.
Okay.
The predecessor to the story is like, I hate spinach with a passion. Never been a fan of it.
Matt started eating his veggies.
I know, for literally. But the lady there was like, oh, you guys are not from here. Da, da, da. We started talking. She's like, oh, I'm just going to serve you all of my best stuff. And I was like,
love that.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Awesome. And she was like, no, you got to try everything. And, and so we did, and we started trying, and she brought out these spinach balls that had like a milky substance on top. I don't even know what it was. Still to this day, I like think about them, because it was the first time in my life I ever really ate spinach and I didn't gag. And then like, I loved it. And it was the most incredible experience. And I know that sounds so weird, but the thing is in that moment, I told her, I was like, this is the greatest thing I have ever had. And I love this so much. And I want to know how to make this. And how do you make? She's like, oh, this is that family recipe. I'm so sorry I can't share that. And it was just But it was just really funny in that moment. And there was something really wholesome and very like special about being able to be engrossed into someone's culture and then them being so open and accepting and willing to like share it with you. And to have it done in like a super small town in the middle of nowhere. And you're, just driving along the road and you just stop at a random restaurant just because you're hungry. And I thought that was it. The spontaneity of it is a big deal, but also too is just like the free form of human existence, I guess I could say. That was one of the biggest takeaways. Is like, you never know until you just go do it.
Yeah.
Until
You're
you just try.
100% right on that.
Yeah. You never like, I always say like that comes back to like the open door theory. It's just like, you never know what your life is going to look like until you physically just open a door to allow you that opportunity. So yeah, that was one of my personal favorites, but I know you have a lot as well because you have been all over the world. So I'd love to hear kind of one of the places that really impacted you and why it did.
So I'm going to kind of piggyback off of you a little bit. I have been all over the world now a lot by myself, and I could talk for hours and days about all the amazing experiences I've had, especially with myself. But like the ones that probably are the most enriching are the ones in my beginning travels with like family, just because that's what sparked my interest in it. And when everything is like bright and new, it always has a little bit more like, it sticks with you more when you experience something for the first time, And I love how you went with your father, because I feel like traveling with family always brings you closer together. Yep. And kind of piggybacking off of that too, is I'm just like, if the opportunity is presenting itself to you and you don't know if you want to go, you kind of do, but you kind of don't. Please the opportunity is presenting itself for a reason. Take it. Yep. Because for instance, when I think I was like 15 at the time, was when my dad was like, hey, I'm taking my girls to Europe. Let's go. And he wanted to go for 2 weeks. I was 15 in high school in my like fun era, and huge FOMO, 2 weeks seems like a lifetime. And I'm like, I don't want to be away from my friends for 2 weeks. What? Let alone we didn't travel that much when I was younger. Like we would go to Wisconsin Dells and like Florida, but nothing too crazy, like foreign. So I was
enjoy a weekend at the Kalahari.
Yeah, no, in wilderness, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wilderness, but yeah.
Or bougie.
Yeah. So like in my head, I'm just like, what else is out there? Like, traveling's not that great. But my older sister, who you actually just met, was going. My dad was, there's 4 of us. My dad was taking the 2 older ones first. And I'm like, my mom actually encouraged her. She's like, go. It's 2 weeks. And I'm like, I really didn't want to. I was not looking forward to it.
Yeah.
But after those 2 weeks, the next time he took my 2 little sisters instead of the 2 older ones, like me and my oldest, I'm like, I'm going with. I don't care. You have to take me. I'm your other daughter also. I'm saying I'm going. After that, that really made me realize that there is so much out there in the world besides just what you think there is. Because even within the United States, if you've traveled, like we all still have one kind of common culture. I feel like we all share, regardless if little areas have different things to them. But when you go to Europe, when you go to Asia, like any of those other countries, Central America, everything has a different energy and a different vibe. And you can see like it really expands your mind to think that like there's so much out there and so much available to me. It makes you feel more abundant and more alive. And that's what I got just from my first experience going with my dad and my sister. I am closest with my older one. But then also what I learned too, with my 2 younger sisters going the other time, I wasn't as close with them when we went to Europe together. And I just remember I'm like, I was probably now 17, 18 at the time. They were maybe 16, 15. And we were in Greece. And I looked at them while they were doing like bunny hops across the beds in the room, like acting funny. And I was like, I didn't know how funny my sisters actually were. Like, because it's so funny. You can be around people all the time, especially your family members at home, and honestly not really know them. I feel like traveling, since you are kind of forced to be with each other and you're experiencing things for the first time together, it makes you form a different connection and bond. And that doesn't have to just be with family. It can be with friends. Like I will forever hold the first time we went to Hawaii together in my heart. Like it was such a beautiful experience to be like in such a beautiful new place with you guys. I'm like, I feel like traveling really does bring people together more than just your every single day grind, because you're having a new experience together. And that's like a bond that, it's going to live forever. It's all these new things and all this new stimulus, and it's great.
Yeah.
So I like the beginning part of my travels is probably the most that hit the heart because it's really what got me to where I am today also is to like realize that the world is insane and beautiful and so big, but it's all available to us. And like it's taught me to appreciate those moments with other people because it's such a special moment.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
What's one of like the most wild thing that's ever happened to you on a travel? Because I can share mine, but I want to know yours.
Plant medicine. No, that's intentional. We can get into that another day. Definitely.
What'd you say?
Plant medicine.
Oh, okay.
But I will say like through those kind of retreats though, I've met some of the most amazing people. I'm trying to think the craziest thing that's ever happened to me.
I got roofied in Mexico.
Okay, we're trying to think about positive things with travel, not bad thing. But that also shows your intention behind traveling too. My intention always when I travel now, intention's everything, is it not?
Yeah, don't get roofied in Mexico.
Yeah, my intention is always like I'm going somewhere that's going to make me
Someone
feel.
hands you a drink, even if they're hot. Don't accept it.
Even if they're hot?
Even if they're hot.
Ooh.
Don't accept it.
I think that if we're on the topic of like funny new experiences, I had to get stitches in Italy.
You got stitches in Italy?
That's the only time I've ever had to get. No, I actually lied. But yeah, I had to get stitches in Italy. Of course, me and my crazy butt when I was younger, I decided to ignore a sign that said, don't walk on the rocks. I'm like, I can walk on the rocks. Let's do it. No, I cut my foot up open. It's funny though, because my dad wasn't biased and it was my two little sisters. Gave them my euros to go find not a CVS out there. I don't know what it was, but like a
Pharmacia,
a thing with the red medical bandage on it. And guess what they come back with? A balloon and a bouncy ball. I'm just like, in what world? I don't know. Family is funny, but like that's also a memory that's going to live forever in my head.
a balloon and a bouncy
A balloon and a bouncy ball.
Like a get well balloon?
No, just like a regular balloon.
Was it inflated?
They're like, we couldn't find dad. We couldn't find a pharmacy, but this looked cool. Yeah, it was inflated. So since we are encouraging people to travel, how do you think that we can give some advice for people to start their travel journey, expand their mind, expand their experiences? Like what would be some advice you would give to people?
Yeah, start small.
Okay.
Just take a weekend trip for yourself. And I think that, if you live in a small town, go to a big city and just go spend the weekend there. If you've already done that, go to a different state. If you've already done that, maybe go to Mexico or Canada. If you've already done that, then you can, I always say just take it baby steps. So you're not, like the first trip you ever do is halfway around the world, because I think that can be very jarring for some people.
Oh, completely.
So definitely just take it slow, take your time, definitely budget for your trip. Don't be one of those people that like, and I digress, but I'm one of those people that likes to budget for my trips because I like to have my money when I go to that country because you never know where you're going to be or what you're going to do. And you never know who you're going to have to pay to do what. So, murder. I'm just kidding.
Murder. Pay off the cops, guys.
Pay off the cops. No, but I think that's the biggest thing. It's just like take it step by step.
No, I agree with that so much. I do like the fact that you said start small and start safe in a way too, because I do get how even solo traveling can be very scary.
Yeah.
Go someplace with friends first, because God forbid, I don't want you to be like, it's my first time in an airport and I'm going on this 21-hour flight where there's 3 layovers. I do get that. Start small, budget, research and plan. Whenever I heard what you said too, I'm always just like, listen to your heart, because usually if you're called to go somewhere and you think it's cool, like, I don't know, I'm just a believer too. Like something's always guiding you where you should go.
Yep.
Literally a random person in passing mentioned Bali and I'm like, oh, that seems cool. And it stuck in my head and I'm like, I'm going by myself, whatever. And also too, a little like advice I can give people is they have travel, even if you can't get any of your friends, any of your family to go with you. I do believe, yes, travel by yourself. Be open to new experiences and talking to people, because you never actually know what friends you're going to make when you talk to people. I have friends all over the world now just because I've decided to like say, oh, I like your dress, like in passing, or like, oh, I saw you on the plane. I've made so many friends that way. But also, if you go, I'd say this all the time, if you go looking for resources, They are there. All you have to do is be curious, ask around. People will oftentimes tell you good travel hacks, as well as they have communities of like solo travelers out there. Yep. And you can travel with other solo people. I know when I started solo traveling or going to groups or retreats, my mom and not really my dad, he's an adventurer, but my mom was like, aren't you scared? Be careful. A lot of times if you are looking to do something, there are other people looking to do the same thing. So I don't want you to have that fear mentality, because I'm not saying things can't go wrong, but a majority of time, a lot of things go right.
Yep.
So please go out there, look for groups, look for resources, because they are available to you. Hey, you need some information about certain places. If I've been there, I'll help you. Reach out. But I think travel is so beneficial. It allows you to de-stress, create new memories with yourself, with new people, with old friends.
Yeah.
And also just like expand your mind to new possibilities and creative thinking and cultures.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It gives you a better sense of self.
Definitely does. So I'm happy we had this conversation.
I am as well.
Yes. And until next time, guys, I love you.
And thank you. Keep shining your light.